Hey, this is Welcome to Adulting, the podcast where three millennials give you advice on stuff they know nothing about. I'm John.
I'm Shawna.
And I'm Caleb.
And today we're going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart. Or I guess I should say something that's like really been in my mind this last week, which is the idea of what to do when you feel overwhelmed. Because guys, this has been a really stressful week for me. And I'm guessing for you guys too. We all have those weeks. We all have those really stressful weeks where you kind of get in that mood where, for me, I just want to run away and live in the woods for the rest of my life. But you really can't do that. So we're going to be talking about that. But first, I want to start on a positive note. I don't want to think about how stressed we are. I want to celebrate how we've adulted this week. So Caleb, let's start with you. How have you adulted this week?
Huge week, guys. Huge week. My wife and I, we bought washers and dryers for our house. And, you know, we were about to go buy brand new washer and dryers from a retailer at full price. And one of our friends sent us a text message going, "Have you checked out the scratch and dent place?" I didn't know what a scratch and dent place was. And so we went there, and instead of paying a couple $1,000s, we paid a couple $100 for washers and dryers that will last probably about 10 years. So that's a huge win, saving a lot of money.
So are they like brand new and they just had like scratches and they couldn't be sold at retail?
They were made in 2012-ish. So they're not brand new.
Wow. I am really jealous of you because I have coin-operated laundry at my apartment, and A, it doesn't dry my clothes well. So like after they dry, I have to like lay them out all on my bed. And two, I spend like close to like $5 just to do all of my laundry each week. And I always have to like either go to the bank, or if it's Sunday, because that's when I do my laundry, I have to go to the gas station and get cash back on stuff and say like, "Hey, can I get a bunch of quarters? I'm sorry." And that is the most shameful thing I have to do each week.
John, you got to swallow your pride and go back to your parents' house.
I'm not.
You really got to swallow your pride. It's
See,
okay. You're
said
saving money.
They have offered to let me do my laundry at their house, but A, it's just really inconvenient because it's, you know, so far away. B, I get to like do stuff at my apartment while the laundry's happening, or at least I tell myself I can do stuff, and then I just end up, you know, eating and playing video games. But I don't know. I just don't like, I like being independent. I like being on my own, but having to pay for my laundry gets frustrating. So I'm jealous that you have, you know, obviously you paid for it right up front.
Yeah, it was actually our last visit to the laundromat, which it was kind of sad saying goodbye to some of the regulars that we have gotten to know, but maybe we'll go there and play more card games with them, even though we have no laundry to do.
That's fun. Shawna, what have you been up to? How have you adulted?
So this week was actually a pretty cool adulting win. I used to be a CNA and I had a license. Mm-hmm. Well, I just randomly this week checked to see if my license expired just because I kind of want to keep it. I worked hard for it.
Yeah.
It was expiring in 2 days. So I got to add my employment and keep it for another year.
All right.
So I was really proud of that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's one of those things where like you threaded the needle so perfectly that it just wasn't adulting, but worked out well enough to be an adulting win. So
it was almost a fail.
Yeah, but it wasn't, and that's important.
Turn
We're gonna
that
celebrate
fail
that
into a win.
There you go.
That sounds like something we need to have on the soundboard, like some sort of effect. I actually got my oil changed. I was like 5,000 miles over where I was supposed to be at, so we're good now. We got it all worked out.
Were there any other issues with your car?
Not that they told me about. So.
Not that you know about, yeah.
Not that I know about.
Just kidding.
Hasn't fallen apart yet. And that's honestly where I'm at in life. If my car doesn't fall apart, we're good. I am totally fine. This is a junker car that I'm gonna run into the ground, and then I'll buy hopefully a newer, better one because I'll be in a better financial spot. So,
do you have a mechanic that you trust?
I've got like 2 or 3. Because I moved recently, then I'm further away from my normal mechanic. So I just did one that was near work, and that worked out really well. So it's a coworker's of ours. Son or son-in-law? One of Kathy's relatives works there.
Shout out to Kathy.
Hey, Kathy, you're great. So we went there, and it worked out really well. That's where we take all of our work vehicles. So yeah, it worked out well for me. My car's not broken. So hey, that's a win. So yeah. If you want to share some of your adulting wins, you can hit us up on Facebook or send us an email. Caleb, where can they go to tell us about their adulting wins?
You can Well, you said Facebook.
Facebook. What's the link?
It's Welcome to Adulting Podcast.
You can also go to welcometoadultingpod.com. You can find links to all of our social media, our email, and all of that there. And share how you adulted. You can leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. In there, leave a little section about how you adulted. You'll get a shout out. Like Corey, who told me that this week he took a half day from work, spent the other half of his day working in his yard, basically taking a whole bunch of rocks that he had, taking those to, where do you take those? The dump, the quarry? I don't even know where you take rocks. Got rid of those, had to do some repairs on his fences, did a whole bunch of stuff with that. I don't envy him at all because I hate doing yard work, and that's why I rent. But hey, Corey, you did it. Good job. Congratulations. You adulted. So, yeah. Guys, Caleb especially, have you gotten into doing a lot of yard work and landscaping yet?
I have. With the new lawnmower, I mow my lawn about once a week now, and planting grass seed has been really, really hard, but it's nice to see with all the rain that's happened, the hard work paying off. The grass is coming along. I don't know what to do, though, about, I mowed my lawn the first time, I believe the last time we talked, and now all these dandelions have grown where there were no dandelions before when I mowed the lawn. I'm just trying to figure out how that happened, what to do, and maybe I should just pay someone to do it.
Just burn it and start again. Just start fresh.
Burn the lawn.
Burn the lawn and then start again.
I like it.
Yeah. And again, if you have an adulting win you want to share, let us know on Facebook or on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what to do when you're overwhelmed and how to basically not run away and live in the woods as a hermit like I want to do. Stay tuned.
Thanks to the family for believing that an adulting life is done best together. The family is holding their fall fundraiser right now, and we want to show them support. Would you go to supportthefamily.net for more information on the family? That's supportthefamily.net.
Hey, welcome back. This is Welcome to Adulting, and today, like we said before, we're going to talk about what to do when you feel overwhelmed. Guys, this week has been crazy for me. I think every day this week I've taken some sort of work home with me or worked overtime or done something like that. And so I just kind of want to see, for me, work is one of the biggest stressors, one of the biggest things that causes me to feel overwhelmed. But I want to see from you guys, what is it that causes you guys to be overwhelmed? Do you guys feel overwhelmed? Am I alone here? Am I the only one who feels like everything is too much?
You are not alone.
Okay, good.
I'm the type of person that believes I can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And there's never too much on my plate. And even if there is, I'm like, no, I can do this. It's not a big deal. So I become overwhelmed when there actually is too much on my plate, but I'm not willing to give anything up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a perfectionist in it too. So
when did you start feeling this way? Because for me, throughout high school, I felt a little stressed, but I didn't really do that much. And then around college was when I started to feel really overwhelmed and started to feel the actual mental effects of stress and what it actually did to me, and kind of, it made me more angry. I was tired all the time, stuff like that. But when did you kind of see this happening? Was it around the same time, or was it when you started having kids? What was it that kind of triggered that feeling of overwhelmed but still wanting to do everything?
I've always been this way. So in high school, I felt overwhelmed. I obviously wasn't as good about handling it and getting through it healthy. But I think because I'm a people pleaser. So I think being overwhelmed has always been a part of my life because I'm that type of person. I have to do well, not just good, but very well at everything.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever get that kind of moment where everything seems like it's too much and you just kind of have that I'm just going to kind of, skip town, get out of here, leave? Is that a thing for you? Is that just me?
I am the kind of person where I hold it all in until it kind of blows the top off. So I guess for me, I don't really have the I need to run feeling. It's okay, I'm just going to have this massive cry about stuff and then wipe my tears and be a big girl and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have my moment.
So you just got to have a good cry and then move on.
That's right. Typical girl. Just kidding.
No, like I've had moments where like a good cry just makes you feel so much better. I should do that this weekend. Just put on a good record and just have a good cry. Caleb, what about you? What do you do? What makes you feel overwhelmed, and how do you respond to that?
Yeah, so just I'm trying to figure out a way to word this. So I get overwhelmed pretty frequently, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am ADD. So being ADD and having a lot of tasks to do, specifically home owning, and just projects never seeming to be over, and then adding on work and all that has to be done there. And, it can get kind of overwhelming.
I feel like this podcast is really quickly turning into therapy for us. Just a lot of passive aggressive,
But honestly, when there's more than one, like multitasking stresses me out like crazy. So a lot of times I find myself writing down like to-do list, like there's all these things I have to get done, but you can only do one thing at a time.
I am a list person. And the most satisfying thing in the world is like marking off something on a checklist. I probably have like 10 checklists going on at all times, and it is so satisfying. But I'm kind of like you, Shawna, especially where if I have a lot of stuff on the list, for some reason, I keep adding stuff to it. And even though I know I'm doing too much, it's just like, well, I can do this too, and I can add this other commitment, and it's just spirals.
So when we talk about lists, are you the kind of person that does the easiest thing first so you can just cross as much as you can off?
Oh, yeah. I'm the type of person who will add stuff like brush your teeth or like get dressed. I'm that kind of person because I have to like do small things to make myself feel good to then tackle the bigger things.
No, I do the things the soonest that I can be done with things to put my feet up is, the hardest thing has to be done first. That way it's easy. And then I can watch sports at night. So
there you go.
So that's what I do. I do the hardest thing first. And then just as it keeps on getting easier, I know I'm getting closer and closer to watching sports and really relaxing.
Yeah. So you mentioned relaxing, and I think that's another thing. When you get overwhelmed, do you guys feel that you don't have as much time to kind of relax? Or even if you do have time, do you find that it's like as relaxing? Because when I have stuff I know I need to do, then I can't just like sit down and watch a movie or sit down and read or enjoy cooking. It becomes a thing that just always is in the back of my mind.
So I've honestly kind of begun to understand just pretty recently with homeownership that you have to learn how to relax even when things aren't done right away. Yes, there are always going to be things to get done. So you really have to force yourself to understand that and know that eventually it will get done, and let it not interfere with the way that you relax or the time that you spend with your wife or husband. It's one of those things where you have to learn that, yes, it would be great if everything can get done right away, but it's not possible. So don't let that affect the outcome of the way that you're relaxing.
And one thing I've learned, especially recently, and this is something that I know, but I have to keep reminding myself of, is the difference between resting and not doing things. Because I can not do stuff and not be rested at all. But actually taking time to force myself to truly rest. So like do things that will help me. So like read a book, exercise, go disc golfing, things like that will actually rejuvenate me is so much better than just like watching Netflix for an afternoon. Because then I don't feel rested and I've done nothing with my afternoon.
I think too that it's important to prioritize what is going to re-energize your soul and your body when you're overwhelmed. It's so easy to say, like for me, example, part-time work, full-time student, full-time mom and wife. I am active in my church. It's really easy for me to tell myself like, no, I don't have time to go outside and do an extra playtime with the kids today. I have so much to do. But I know if I don't do that, then I'm going to start feeling bad as a mom, which makes me feel even worse in general as far as being overwhelmed. So it's important to take those times and do what you need to for your soul.
And just to go along with that is just, you're going to have to force yourself sometimes to go out and do stuff, even though there are always going to be things to do. I do want to add that it doesn't give you the excuse just to stop and not do anything. You have to know your limits.
Which I think, too, it's really important for you to be aware of your time. And when you're busy and overwhelmed, be smart about your time. Schedule things out. Make it a point to schedule in time with your spouse time in your Bible and then specific times for doing work.
And when you're scheduling that time, sometimes this has happened to me before. I'll schedule that out and I realize that I don't actually have time for that. So I actually have to do what is the hardest thing for me and ask people for help. Because a lot of times there are things that you think you're the only person who can do it, or, no one else could help you with this, but that's not true. Other people are really capable and can really help you out, but you have to basically admit your weaknesses and just say, hey, I need some help, guys. Can you do this for me? And I find that that's something that's really difficult for me to do, but is really necessary. So do you guys find it difficult as well, or how do you ask for help? Because for me, I don't really know how to ask for help a lot of times, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to kind of throw it to you guys as the people who actually know how to do anything adult-wise. How do you guys ask for help?
More recently, I've learned how to ask for help. I'm stubborn and independent. I never wanted to ask for help. And I'm controlling. I'm going to confess that. So I like to do things the way I want them done. I feel like I do them the right way. This past year, though, God has really worked on my heart in that way. And I've been vulnerable and asked friends, family, my mom, my husband for help. And it's amazing how the more you do it, the easier it is. And you really do realize that everything turns out just fine, that you needed it. And the more you ask, like I said, it's easier. So I would just take like small steps forward and maybe ask for help on things that you're willing to let go a little control of. And the more you do that, the more willing you are.
I think, as we were talking about asking for help, and we were talking about homeownership versus renting, John, you and I. And one of the best things about homeownership...
People, you need to rent. It's so much better.
No,
owning things is overrated.
Here's one of the best things about homeownership is that it gives you a great opportunity to get to know people and to ask for help. See, I am the least handy person in the world. In fact, even today, yesterday I was trying to mow my lawn and I didn't realize that I had no gas in my lawnmower. And so I had to go buy one of those portable gas containers. And I didn't know how to fill those up. That's how unhandy I am. And so I had to call somebody, which turns out you're not supposed to call people while at a gas pump either. There's like a whole sign that the light can cause ignitions and stuff like that. But
it's like the static or something around it. I think they tested that on Mythbusters, though. Mythbusters said that's not true.
All right.
So I'm going to believe Mythbusters.
I mean, the photos are right there on the gas pump. But I was making this call because out of nowhere, gas is falling on the parking lot. That was a great sign that I need to call somebody for help. So
that would have been a good picture for our adulting fail.
Would have been a really good
segment.
Yeah. Well, I have my shoes in the car still covered in gas, which is why I'm wearing flip-flops. So
if we were to do an adulting fail segment, then I should just come in with a list of everything I've done during the day. The amount of actual adulting wins versus fails is so unequal. It's not even funny. But homeownership is a great way to learn how to ask for help, especially when you're not handy like me. I'm learning. Mm-hmm. But I also want to be careful not to abuse my friendships and my friends who are handy because I don't want them to be burned out.
Another big thing is when you ask for help, allow them to bless you and accept that prize and that present. Do not feel like you have to up it and get them something in return. Because I remember when I had my baby, a bunch of people made meals and I spent probably 3 hours making chocolate chip banana bread for everyone. And they're like, Shawna, that defeats the purpose. We wanted you to relax.
And when you ask for help, be okay with people doing it their way as well, or people offering advice. I'm like you, Shawna, I can micromanage really easily, or there's a right way to do things. I know the right way to do things. Of course I do. I'm me. But I need to remember that there are multiple ways to do things, and that's okay. And other people might do something different than you or do it in a different way than you would normally do it. And that's totally fine. And you just have to be okay with that. So I think as we kind of come to an end, how would you guys kind of wrap this up? If you are feeling overwhelmed or when you feel overwhelmed, what should you be doing to either get out of that or to deal with it? Is it bad to feel overwhelmed? I just asked 5 questions and I'm overwhelming you with questions, but I'm going to throw it to you guys anyways.
I think one of the biggest things is when to recognize when you're more than just overwhelmed, when it becomes a really unhealthy thing. I know people can tend to hold in that they're overwhelmed and just keep going, and that can actually lead to, bigger problems. So start up by eliminating the smaller stuff that you don't have to be a part of. And if you're still having a hard time getting through those overwhelming feelings, especially the anger that can come behind that, just to seek friend guidance or even just talking to someone.
And just to add to that, talking to someone, also, I would encourage you to pray. The Bible talks about when we're weary, Jesus says, come to me. And so in that time when you're weary or tired or overwhelmed, you can call out to him. And that's a great way to deal with it.
And just to remember that in the grand scheme of things, whatever you have going on now, yes, it's important. And yes, it could have some massive impact in your life. But really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. If things don't all happen how you want them to or how you think you need them to, that's all right. Things will go on. People will be okay. Without you, the world will continue to spin.
And I just want to give a shout out to my mom because she taught me this one. We'll make it fun. That's right. Whenever things got overwhelmed at our home, my mom would always say, all right, how can we make this fun? So take some time, take a breath, because you can always find a way to make things fun. Even yard work, I've discovered.
Even I don't know about yard work. I can't see a way to make that fun. But maybe you know a way to make yard work fun. Maybe you know a way to deal with being overwhelmed. If you do, let us know on Facebook. Go to welcometoadultingpod.com. Check out our links to our Facebook and other social media. Tell us how you deal with being overwhelmed or other strategies. Maybe we didn't mention something. Let us know. We'd love to connect with you. You can also leave us a rating and a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Let us know what you think about our show. Maybe, tell us some adulting wins. You can get a shout out like Corey did this week. Also, as we go, I just want to say thank you to the Family Radio Network for making all of this possible. Go to thefamily.net for more hope, strength, and encouragement. As we leave, I just want to remind you, don't forget to cut yourself some slack and to remember that you got this. Bye.